All right, bub, buckle up because things are about to get wild. We're kicking off with Wolverine, claws extended, a snarl on his face, surrounded by a chaotic mess of red machinery and smoke. He's suspended in what looks like outer space, with Earth in the background, making a desperate plunge. Those claws are glowing hot, and that face shows pure rage and determination. It seems he's falling through a destroyed space station or ship, the air thick with debris, and those red pipes and wires look ready to snap. This is not going to be a peaceful landing. Folks, things are about to get messy. Okay, folks, time for a quick intermission before we dive back into the action. This page is all about the amazing crew that brought this wild ride to life. We've got Charles Soule on writing, Steve McNiven on pencils, Jay Lesson inking, and Laura Martin painting the colors. Let's give a shout out to these folks before we get back to Wolverine's free fall. All right, now that we know who's behind this masterpiece, let's get back into it. Chapter 5 kicks off with a single word, emblazoned on a stark white background, heaven. But don't let the name fool you. Knowing Wolverine, this probably won't be a peaceful place. We're back in space, folks, and things are looking intense. We see a large black space station with these weird bulbous attachments surrounded by stars. A sleek white spaceship is approaching it, and from inside, someone's saying it's been a long ride. Hell of a trip. The next panel shows the same spaceship even closer to that station, and now that voice is saying, in a much more frustrated tone, "I'm running out of patience." Looks like someone's ready to start playing games and get down to business. Okay, we've got Wolverine walking through a sleek, metallic hallway, and he is not in a good mood. He's flanked by a tall, heavily armored guy in a black mask. Logan's asking that masked guy, "So tell me, Zagreus, where is she?" The next panel shows a close-up of Logan, his face all scrunched up with worry while he says, "Where's Persephone?" Then, the masked guy seems to lead Wolverine to someone. The last panels show a woman in a white coat. She says, "Here, Logan, right in front of your eyes," followed by a simple, "Yeah," coming from someone or somewhere else. Seems like Wolverine has found who he's looking for. So it's a tense reunion, and the lady in white isn't exactly making friends. She looks directly at Wolverine and says, "Well, of course, I don't know if we're friends yet." But Wolverine replies, "Doesn't smell like it." The lady's image flickers, like she's a hologram, and continues saying, "We're not. And yet you're here. Couldn't stop you from down there. You can't stop me at all." Then another woman in white tells them, "But let's not get into all that posturing, all the hero/villain business. It's tiresome. Everyone on this station is a hero, Logan. Everyone." The lady with white eyes seems to give a challenge. "You came here for answers. About yourself, about me. I have them. Follow me, and you'll learn everything you want to know. I only ask one thing." She then walks away, and in the last panel we can see her from behind as she says, "Keep an open mind." Looks like things are just getting started. All right, we're stepping out into a bright, modern area, and Wolverine is as confused as ever, asking, "What's all this? Who are they? Dead too?" The lady in white assures him, "No, as alive as you are." Then we see multiple panels of this place. The lady is saying that these people are her brilliant ones, and she explains that they have exceptional minds, exceptional skills. They're scientists, engineers, artists, musicians, writers, architects. I even have 2 Michelin-starred chefs. Then the narration continues saying, "Humanity has become greed and screens and anxiety. These people pushed past all that, and they've shared their genius with the world." Finishing with, "I thought they'd earned a chance to make a new one." We can see that all of them are wearing a white uniform with 3 red triangles in a line. This place seems to be full of really smart and skilled people. Things are getting even weirder, folks. The lady in white is telling Wolverine, "You met one of them, I think, right after you came back. Dr. Bernard Delacroix, my de-extinction expert, with his mammoths." Wolverine is surprised and replies, "Yeah, I watched him die." To which she replies, "Well, of course, Logan." Then she continues to explain about her plans, saying, "It was hard to build all this. At first it was just me. And my brother, of course. So much to arrange, so many obstacles. I had to think of my powers in a new way. After all, Persephone is not just the queen of hell, but also spring. New life. Then she looks at him straight in the eyes and says, I weaponized resurrection. She then explains anyone with powers, anyone I could use, if they were dead, they were mine. Giving examples as Prism and Omega Red, many others. Even your son, Dakin, you might remember you set him on fire, but don't worry, he didn't feel a thing. She finishes by saying, and you, my favorite. To which Wolverine replies worried, no, you didn't do that to me, no. She then says, of course I did, Logan, you are the third story. And in the last panel we see a graveyard as the narration says you were dead, and you were mine. This is bad, folks, really bad. The first panel shows a statue of Wolverine crumbling apart as the narration says, and you were the best of them. Then we see a close-up of Wolverine and the lady in white. She's telling him, you are the Wolverine, you can hunt, you can kill. Followed by a last, you can kill anything. Then we see another close-up of that lady and she says, I couldn't have done this without you. It seems that this lady is playing with Wolverine and his powers, and not in a good way. We're back on the platform overlooking Earth, and Wolverine wants answers. He demands, what did you make me do down there? The lady in white replies, nothing you didn't do while you were alive. Believe me, you might not remember, but I do, and so does the world. Wolverine is a hero, but he is also a monster. Then she continues saying, but as you said, that's all down there. Everyone you've hurt or killed, everyone who hates you, everyone who fears you. The lady adds even more pressure by saying, not 2 days ago you lost control of yourself and nearly killed a team of X-Men, people who were once your oldest friends. Do you think you can ever face them again? Do you think they will ever love you like they did, trust you? Wolverine, clearly upset, replies, what's the point of all this? Why did you bring me here? Why any of it? Things are not looking good for Logan. The lady in white continues her explanation, saying, all I think about is death, Logan, all day, all the time. I'm steeped in it. I'll never leave me. I've learned to use it, but I'll never escape it. She then explains, but you did. You were dead with one of my kill teams, dressed as a hero to impress Delacroix, and then, I don't know, your healing factor maybe. Only one thing matters. Death couldn't hold you. You came back. That's beautiful, the hope you've given me. Please, let me give you something. Showing her hand like she's about to touch him. She continues, freedom. A true resurrection. You've given more to the world than anyone on this station. You deserve a new beginning. Don't carry a dead man's burdens into your new life. Stay up here with me. Be free from all of it. Begin again. Wolverine is clearly not convinced as he asks, and if I do that, what happens to them? And the lady replies, got a pretty good idea who's going to pay for that new beginning. Persephone. Wolverine, now with a stern face, says, remember the first story you told me, as the lady recalls, of course. When you saved us from the man lost to anger, I was a kid when I saw that. I never forgot it. You were a hero. But Logan replies, yeah, and then I died. You think that's supposed to change something? Change who I am, make me like you. You made me a nice offer, Persephone. Here's my answer. It looks like Logan has made his decision. Wolverine has made his choice. In the first panel, he stabs the lady in white, who now appears as a hologram, and we see and hear a K-ting sound effect, and she screams, Hashtler at %death. Then Logan looks determined and says, I'm back and I'm Wolverine, and that's the way it's gonna be. While the lady in white is shocked, showing the first signs of fear. The hologram lady then replies, you could have started over, free of guilt and obligation. You don't even have the burden of memories. And follows with, and you said no. Crazy. People are mysteries. We see Wolverine and the hologram lady falling from the platform into a portal with pink smoke while she says, anyway, we know what happens when people say no, right? It's been wonderful, Logan, really. I'll miss talking to you. If it's any consolation, you can still help me when you're dead. Looks like Logan has chosen to be himself. Consequences be damned. We're tumbling through the pink portal now, and things are getting messy. Wolverine is looking all messed up as he screams, damn it. His skin covered in some weird, red, bumpy texture, and he's clearly in pain. The hologram lady then says, don't fight it. I'll bring you back right away. Fresh is better. In the next panel, we see Wolverine with that same weird skin, raising a hand as if saying, stop, while saying, lady, next time I die. and we see his hand with claws now extended in the next panel, which also has a SNKT sound effect as he continues to say, "I'm staying dead." And in the last panel, we see Logan going through the portal, breaking it like a glass, and we see that his appearance is back to normal. This is not going to be easy for our hero. Logan's falling through the portal, surrounded by shards of broken glass and that strange pink smoke. We can see that one of his hands is still covered in that weird, red, bumpy skin with his claws extended. He's falling towards a city in the background. It's a chaotic freefall into the unknown for Wolverine. We are following Logan's fall, folks, and it's a wild ride. First, he's still covered in that pink smoke as he falls through space. Then, his skin is covered in that weird, red, bumpy texture, and he's still surrounded by the broken glass. He falls past some cables and a structure. The next panel shows Wolverine grabbing onto those cables, and we can see that he now looks normal again. He then reaches to the top of a structure, and we see he's now jumping away from it and falling towards Earth again, with some debris falling next to him. Seems like Logan is trying to find his own way out of this mess. All right, we're back inside the space station, where two scientists are discussing some findings. One of them, looking frustrated, says, "Jack, look, I'm not sure I agree with your conclusions here." To which the other replies, "Then you need to look again, Neil. My numbers are perfect. We know what Persephone's trying to achieve, and if..." Before they can finish, a scientist looking surprised says, "Oh, hashtala percentat." The next panel shows Wolverine entering the scene. He's not looking good. His body seems bruised and is covered in that weird, red, bumpy texture again. He says, "I crawled over the outside of the ship to get here without a suit. So before any of you geniuses think about pulling an alarm, know that I won't go down easy, and none of you would live to see if I do." We then see Logan talking to the scientist, saying, "You know what Persephone's trying to achieve, huh? Hell, maybe you even helped her set it up. We'll get to that. But all I want to know right now, Jack." The scientist then looks nervous, and Wolverine continues to say, "Is which one of you knows how to stop it?" Then Logan grabs the scientist's neck with his claws and says, "Phil, it's Phil, you need to talk to Phil." Seems like Wolverine's patience has run out. Wolverine is not playing around anymore. He demands answers from the scientist, saying, "Hey Phil, I'm Logan, talk to me." Phil starts to explain Persephone built a satellite network. I wrote a lot of the interface code. It does two things. First, it can generate a pulse like an EMP, but targeted to human brain activity. If it fires, instant, painless death for anyone it touches. As Phil continues, we see a screen showing a map of the Earth with red lines all over it. Phil says, then, Phase 2, the network acts as a relay and booster for Persephone's powers. She'll bring humanity back, in a way, but under her control. This is it, the whole network. It's almost complete. Just a few more launches and we'll have total coverage, everyone on Earth. He explains that the idea is to have no governments, no inefficiency, nothing in the way. One of the scientists then says, "Everyone, that's the idea. They'd be like drones, dead, sure, but functional. Then the brilliant ones that us could use them to build the better world." Wolverine, now very angry, says, "You're monsters, every last one of you." He then demands, "Kill it, destroy the network for good." But Phil, scared, says, "I can't, Persephone will she'll end me." And Logan says, "Phil, I promise you." Then, in the last panel, we see Phil typing on the keyboard with a scared expression as he says, I'll begin the deorbit protocols." Seems like Wolverine is getting what he wants, but at what cost? We're seeing the satellites burning up in the atmosphere as Phil says, "There, it's done. The sats will all burn up in the atmosphere." Then we see the burning satellites falling towards the Earth as Phil says, "But it looks pretty nice from down there." Followed by, "If they only knew, eh?" Wolverine, angry, says, "Honestly, this is sort of a relief. I was never really on board with all this. You'll keep me safe from Persephone, right? It won't be long before she..." But Wolverine cuts him off saying, "Shut up. If all the satellites are gone..." Phil is confused and says, "A few million." But Wolverine again cuts him off saying, "Shut it down." The next panels show Phil and Wolverine looking at a screen where Phil asks, "Then what's that, Phil?" To which Phil answers, "Well, that's us, this station. Can it do what the other satellites can, the killing, pulse, and then the reanimation? And he continues, yes, but only on whatever area we're above when it fires. You're talking at most a few million people, and that's if it's an urban area. We see that Phil is scared and starts sweating as he says, I can't. Persephone has control over the station, and honestly, it's only a matter of time before she notices what I did and. Seems like things are not over yet for Wolverine, and more challenges are coming. Things are escalating quickly. The station is turning red as Phil says, termination pulse firing sequence initiated. Power down all non-essential equipment, all personnel to crash couches. He then looks at the screen with fear and says, oh God, that's Persephone's set the station to fire. Wolverine is angry and confused and demands, where? Where? Phil replies, all the station's operational stuff is 3 decks down. The pulse device has to be somewhere down there. Just be careful. If you hit the wrong piece of equipment, you could knock the whole station out of the sky. The next panel shows Wolverine looking at the other scientists as one of them says, yeah, well, no one on Earth's gonna shed too many tears over any of you. And another replies, but you die too. The other scientist looks defeated and says, yeah. And Logan, with a menacing face, says, and me. It seems like this is not going to be a walk in the park. Action time. The station is bathed in red light as we see a group of masked soldiers with electric weapons saying, oh, Logan, now you've made me angry. Wolverine, in full rage mode, replies, that's what I do, Persephone. Like you said, I'm the best there is. As we hear a snicked sound effect and we see Wolverine's claws extended. The next panel shows Wolverine attacking those soldiers with a GSSK sound effect, clearly showing the action. Then we see a prisoner with an eye patch saying, let me out, I can help you. And in the following panel we see Wolverine entering the lower deck as the narration says Deck 2, while the masked soldiers are down on the floor, not moving. Then the last panel shows the prisoner saying, choose me, soldier. You need someone watching your 6. Wolverine is making his way through the station, and he's making it clear that no one will stop him. Wolverine continues his rampage on the station with a narration saying, Deck 3. We see him taking on even more soldiers, tearing through them. He is in full rage mode. Then, in the right panels, we see a prisoner in a cage saying, I'm the one you need. I have that killer instinct. The next panel shows Wolverine fighting a soldier with his claws extended, and the prisoner now with an eye device and what seems to be fur looking at him. Then we see Wolverine grabbing the electric weapon, and the prisoner now with a stern face says, Bub. Seems like Wolverine has a companion to help him on his quest. Wolverine keeps going, now in Deck 4. He's fighting a soldier next to a radiation symbol door and says, good enough. In the next panel, we see Wolverine with a close-up, his face all scrunched up, saying HNHP smells like. Then we see Wolverine brutally attacking a soldier as we hear a KPCK sound effect. In the following panel, Wolverine is rushing through a door with a NNNGH sound effect, while on the right, we see the prisoner in his cage, yelling, let me out. You need me. Wolverine is making his way through the station at full speed, and the prisoner is clearly eager to help. This is brutal. We see Wolverine slamming a soldier with his head as the sound effect crack is displayed. In the next panel, a soldier is falling down as we hear a yelled out. Then, another panel showing Wolverine with blood on his face and a crack sound effect. The next panel shows the prisoner's hand grabbing the lever to open his cell while shouting, yes, let me out. In the last panels, we can see the soldier's head getting crushed as the lever breaks his skull with crack and KCHK sound effects. This is pure violence, folks, and Wolverine is not holding back. The prisoner is free now, and we get a wide shot showing the prison cells, with different versions of Wolverine locked up, all watching the scene, and the prisoner, now out of his cage, is saying, Bub. Then we see a panel with 2 Wolverines, one in his classic yellow and blue suit, and the other with the white uniform with red triangles, both looking at each other, and the classic version says, you think you can just walk away from me? The other version replies, you're a fool if you think you're done with me. I'm still here. I'll always be here. This is going to be a battle between two versions of the same man. The battle begins. We see the two Wolverines trading blows